Our next speaker is Ludy Biddle, and she is the Executive Director of Neighborworks of Western Vermont. Well, please welcome Ludy.
Well, thank you very much. This is exciting to be here. I am going to tell you about our financing program, but I'm going to give you a few paragraphs of description of our program before I get to the financing mechanisms within. Neighborworks of Western Vermont, we're located in West Rutland, Vermont. We've been a nonprofit housing organization founded in 1986 to provide rehab services to low-income households, originally in 4 towns, ultimately within a few years, the whole county of Rutland. And since 2004, we've been providing our rehab services and a number of other services in homeownership assistance to Addison and Bennington County as well. So we have, for background, we have homebuyer education, we have lending for first-time homeowners who often don't qualify for commercial loans. We have second mortgages that help them qualify. We have all kinds of education assistance to homeowners. We have, as I say, been doing rehab primarily in low-income households for a very long time, and a few years ago, we started doing efficiency measures in these homes. And efficiency measures in a lot of the homes we were visiting were very significant in sustaining our mission with these homeowners, in that efficiency measures saved money to a great extent. It wasn't uncommon that we were saving $1,600 a year in a lot of these homes. And that is a very important aspect for a lot of the people that we were working with. So with some success and with some experience, we applied to the Department of Energy to what was then called, EECBG. We were awarded a grant of $4.5 million for Rutland County, I'm sorry to say, but we are going to expand this to Addison County. Our promise to the Department of Energy was that we would implement, or we would somehow encourage 1,000 households to engage in energy efficiency upgrades in a 3-year period by providing the kind of customer service that our program had been providing over the years. And we call that customer service a one-stop shop. We have our rehab services, which means we send out inspectors to the property, we do a scope of work, we get estimates for the homeowner, we then have a loan for the homeowner, which is affordable, it's appropriate. We do construction management for the homeowner, we escrow the funds, we approve the work before a check is handed over to the contractor, that kind of thing. So we simply expanded that program to include energy efficiency, and lo and behold, the Department of Energy took a chance on this little program in Rutland County and added us to the list of grantees, most of which were states and cities and big energy projects, but they took a chance on us. So we have been very fortunate. We are now a little more than halfway through the project. We have completed over 200, I think it's 240 homes have been the entire way through the efficiency project. They've gotten their incentive payments and they're comfortable, they've taken their socks off. They're warm and happy in their homes. And I really agree with Peter that comfort is probably the reward that they least expect and most notice. The cost savings is significant, but I think comfort is what we hear about so often when we go back to the homes that have taken us up on this project. We have about another 200 homes in process, and about 40% of the homes that actually go through the audit process are moving to the retrofit phase and making the investment in their home. The average project is costing, as Peter said, it's about $6,700. The average incentive payment has been about $1,700. The average cost saving has been about $1,000, but in some cases, as I say, it's a great deal more than that. The average energy saved is 34%. So if you take 34% of your energy costs, it's a huge benefit to any of these households. The part that we have, the sort of crucial part of our program is this customer service, and I think that we feel very strongly that our interaction with these households one-on-one is what has got them engaged in doing the project and seen them through to the end. We work very closely with the contractors. We have 15 contractors working under an agreement with us. We have a big meeting with the 15 plus their assistants tomorrow morning. We do that once a month. And we have, this is the good news that comes from a project that we keep careful track of. We have 48 people we have the names and addresses of 48 people who have a job in this industry since we started this project. So the benefits just keep accruing in a very circular and significant way. So I'm going to jump quickly and save some of the details, but we also have a loan program. The Neighborworks programs have established a revolving loan fund with block grant money years ago. We've built on that. When we got this grant from the Department of Energy, $1.6 million of the total was granted to establish a loan loss reserve and a revolving loan fund. We already had licensed lenders on our staff and a loan committee and all the sort of infrastructure that we needed to be lenders. But we designed a special product for this program, whereas most of our lending has been in mortgage, is a sort of mortgage product. In the case of our energy project, we are issuing an unsecured loan. We allow up to 10 years. Our rate is 4.99%. We will automatically approve a loan to anyone whose credit score is 640 or above, and 640 is actually on the lower side of the sort of traditional eligibility threshold. And then for a household that's below 640, we'll do manual underwriting. And that just means it goes through the loan committee, and if the loan committee is satisfied that, whereas there's a blemish on a credit report or something, if there's an honest effort to improve things, and this is a household that needs this work, we're happy to take that risk. I don't have all the statistics, but I do know that unsecured loans kind of scare people, but the history, it's not a long history, but history of unsecured lending in energy programs such as in Pennsylvania and other places, there's been very little problem. There's been very little delinquency, very little default. In our case, we've had absolutely none whatsoever. We have a perfect record. It's not a long record, but it's been we've had no problem. In most cases, and we're talking with challenged households too, so I really reiterate that this has been a successful risk that we've been willing to take. In most cases, the cost of the loan is less than the savings that the household is enjoying. As Peter said, we are basically able, in most cases, unless someone's doing a huge project, including perhaps a new furnace and some additional work. And yes, we do fund some renewables. Unless they're doing a significantly higher cost project than our average, most of our loan structure has been cash flowing for the household. So it's not very complicated. An applicant fills out paperwork. We have people who are happy to help them because a lot of people are challenged at reading these lengthy documents. Most of our approval is accomplished within a few days, unless it has to go to the loan committee, but there's a loan committee meeting every couple of weeks. We can coordinate the loan with the project costs because the construction managers are basically almost in the same room. And then work is approved, work is undertaken with the contractor, and our construction managers approve the work as it's proceeding, unless it's all done in a week, and then we pay from the escrow account for our clients. So that's a really quick synopsis. I'm sort of walking on the shoulders of Peter, who's told you a lot about the financing of other programs and sort of the basics in financing energy projects. And I really think I could probably take questions rather quickly if you like.
You didn't mention if there was an income eligibility to be in this program.
There is no income eligibility in this particular program. In other programs and other loan sources and products that we have, there is eligibility. But in this energy project, there is none. We are doing our best to serve, and we do make some additional assistance available to low-income households. But no, everybody is eligible to apply for our loan. And in fact, a number of people have applied for the loan who could go and amend their mortgage or could go to other sources for even less money than the 4.99, but they've come to our loan product because it's so quick and simple, and it's just right next door with all the work that's being done. We are, as I say, we are planning to extend this program into Addison County. I don't know how quickly. I would think by next year we'll have the ability to do this. At the moment, we're restricted to using our DOE grant to Rutland County. That was part of their requirement. Yes.
Do you hire construction managers as employees of Neighborworks, or do you have them as contractors?
We have two construction managers as employees of Neighborworks. And then we have 15 BPI certified contractors doing the efficiency work. So our construction managers, over the years, we've had this health and safety program. Now all of our rehabs include health, safety, and efficiency. In the instance where we have a low-income household, and this is currently available to Addison, Bennington, and Rutland County, our construction managers do this work. The loan product and so forth is not available to Addison quite yet. But our regular loan product is, I'm sure I've got you terribly confused, but our regular loan product that is available to the lower income households is available.
The projects that you're accomplishing in these properties, is this just weatherization, insulation? Is it also solar thermal, photovoltaic? What sorts of things are you doing? Are you putting in new furnaces?
We are doing a lot of furnaces. We've just started, and this is a wonderful addition to our program. Now 4 of the oil companies have agreed to, or actually 2 have already accomplished this. They've put a card into their bills, and they're dropping them when they drop oil to say that they're partnering with Neighborworks. They're giving they're subsidizing $25 on the cost of the audit, and they're doing a free checkup on the furnace. So these are oil companies that are helping households save the cost for fuel, and working with us to do this, which is really wonderful. I mean, I think it's counterintuitive, but it's not. It's very definitely what they want to do.
Do you see many photovoltaic or solar thermal projects, or is that?
We've done a lot of solar hot water. We haven't done PV. We haven't done a lot of the higher cost projects. We can. We have to do efficiency measures before we do any renewables.
What's the average cost of an energy audit?
In the rest of the state, it's, I think, 350 to 450. And it was, of course, but with this mandate and this opportunity from this DOE grant, we're allowed to experiment. And what we've done, I think the first several months of our project, we charged $50 because we wanted to test and prove to ourselves whether or not sort of dropping that entry level, what we thought was a barrier, would make a difference. And what sort of had been the standard wisdom across the country was where you have the audit cost really low, lots of people take you up on the audit, and then you never see them again. So, and we can understand that. What we did was we've now raised the cost of the audit to $100 up front, and then we take $250 out of the incentive payment, and this is all agreed upon ahead of time. If they've gone ahead with the project, they're happy with the project, and they've got their incentive check. What was I going to say? We certainly do believe that that 400, 350, 400, 450 cost of an audit up front is a barrier. And yet, when we dropped that barrier and added this customer service aspect, and I haven't given you all the details, but when we add that customer service, as I said, we've been converting, which is the sort of terminology around the country, I think currently 43% of the households going through the audit process go on to the retrofit process. And that has made national news. That's one of the things we're very proud of.
Is that just in Rutland County, or is that also?
Well, that's in right now.
Right.
This model is just in Rutland County. But the purpose of the Better Buildings Grant and the purpose of our efforts is to test and modify and adapt and then take it on. And the plan, the idea, the dream, it's not a plan, I shouldn't call it that, but the dream is to work with the other Neighborworks organizations around the state, because they all have this existing one-stop shop. There are five Neighborworks in Vermont. It's the only state in the country that's entirely covered by a Neighborworks network. Each of us is working in at least 3 counties. I think nobody's more than 3 counties, come to think of it. And we work very closely together. We have, similar standards, and we're scrutinized and trained and so forth. So taking it throughout the state in this one-stop shop model is my dream. It's not my reality yet, but it's my dream.
Is there other questions?
A lot of low-income households in Vermont don't own their own homes. Do you work with renters that have high energy costs and through their landlords, or how does it work?
We do. We've had a number of, particularly when a landlord is paying for the for the energy costs. We have worked with a lot, and we don't work in multifamily with this particular project, but we do work in single family, or that 1 to 4 unit definition of a residential household. And yes, it's been very successful and very satisfying to those people.
Great.
Those are often structures that have not had a lot of attention paid to them. And this is, the whole, once again, that sort of whole customer service aspect has made it appealing to the landlords to get the work done.
So if, in Middlebury, let's say there's, a couple of thousand homes or 1,500 homes that really could benefit from this, how would you market this and make advances in a town like Middlebury?
Well, I love a marketing question. What we do, the way we've always done business is one-on-one with our clients. Our clients, we usually hear, and this is from our early history, We usually hear about a household that needs some assistance through a town clerk or through a neighbor or through a child who's trying to help, an elderly parent or something like that. Or, they'll come directly to us. But we've always known in our bones that it takes a one-on-one connection to explain these things. And we were convinced when we were first doing, early on we were doing efficiency, that it took a trusted source to talk to a household, to talk them into doing this. So it's always been, our marketing principles have always been this one-on-one. And the way we started, for example, was in Shrewsbury. The Conservation Commission, which is one of those volunteer groups, it could be the nursery school, it could be anywhere, but it's one of those active community groups. And they had said that this was the year they were going to dedicate to energy efficiency. One year they did trees, one year they did stone walls, and this year they were going to do energy. So they asked if they could help us, and indeed they could. So I think 5 of them phoned every household in Shrewsbury. We had a phone-a-thon. We provided the pizza and the script and the offices and the fun, but they called every household in Shrewsbury and said, we've got this deal and you should really do it. And they picked the people they knew and called them. And then if we didn't get through the whole list that night, they followed through with calling their people. And Shrewsbury has, I think they are close to 5% of the town has finished a retrofit as a result. And I think the statewide uptake and I think the national uptake is less than 1%. So 5% of the town, it still doesn't sound like a lot, but 5% of the town has already done it, and it's because they heard about it from a friend. That's our marketing technique. And it's harder to do in a big community, but it can be done. And, we have a lot of marketing materials, and I think we left some brochures out. We have all the materials. We have posters on the bus, and we have a television show that kind of highlights the town competition that we have running. We're doing everything we possibly can, but our marketing materials sort of go around behind that one-on-one approach and that one-on-one communication. It is labor intensive, but I will say, we're doing this whole project with a staff of 4.5. The volunteers in each town and the energy champions and the various ways that each works. We have a competition going. At the end of May, we have 2 prizes going to the towns, one with the highest percentage of participants in the town and the other to the highest energy savings that's accomplished by the town. And there are 4 towns that are really in the running. And they're really going for this, and they've got, somebody said, Marcy is, I forget, anyway, she's a locomotive driving the train, and somebody said sometimes she goes off the tracks because she's so enthusiastic about it. But, it's likely that Mount Holly will beat Shrewsbury. But not if I can help it, because I live in Shrewsbury.
Any other questions for Ludy? Thank you very much, Ludy. That was really very informative.